We sold over $2.8 million on Amazon in 2024. And in this video, I'm going to show you what our day-to-day operations look like when it comes to sourcing enough products to reach over $2.8 million in sales. My name is Taylor Dunn with SourceFlow.io. And everything we do for our business, our day-to-day operations, are ran through SourceFlow. SourceFlow is a lead and order management tool that allows you to ditch the spreadsheets and run your entire Amazon business in one easy-to-use platform. Let's go ahead and just jump into my computer and let me show you how our day-to-day operations look. All right, I am in my SourceFlow account and I am inside the buy list section. Now, SourceFlow comes with multiple sections. We are in the buy list. In my buy list, these are going to be a bunch of different lists of items that we are going to be buying or that we are actively buying right now. This is basically the place that my team will add leads to if they think that we should purchase it. Now, the way I have my buy list set up, I actually have a handful of them. I have a Monday through Friday schedule. What this does is it allows me to have a list of all the items that we're going to buy for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. Why do I do this? Well, I like to spread out my purchases. Sometimes I run across an item from a supplier that I really like, but that supplier has order limits, or they're a supplier that are quick to identify resellers and block them. So maybe I don't want to purchase a whole bunch in one single day from a supplier, and I want to instead spread it out over a week. Having multiple buy lists allows me to do that. So you'll see I have a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I next have a buy list for myself. So these are items that I have to purchase. My virtual assistant is not able to make those orders go through. Maybe it's because the supplier doesn't like the VPN. Maybe it's just because it's a supplier that I in particular want to make sure I order from. The reasons are endless. The next list I have, which is probably the most important list, is our replens list. We call this a replens list. It could be called something different, honestly. Basically, this is going to be the place that all my VAs will deposit the leads that they find. Now, just so you know, in my team, I have about 3.5 VAs that work in the business. And when it comes to sourcing, I have one VA that does all of my ordering, 2 VAs and part-time effort. We have a replen team. Basically, these 2 girls will go through and they will look at all the products that we are actively selling right now on Amazon, ones that we have historically sold. They'll go back in through old lead data. They'll rabbit trail a little bit. They're basically scouring through my old data and trying to find new opportunities for us to either restock something or to buy something completely new that just so happens to be selling really well. What they will then do is they will add that to the replens list. They will do this via the extension inside of SourceFlow or on Smart Data inside of SourceFlow, where they're just moving leads that are already in our database over to a buy list. I will then review those leads, and when I like everything on that list, I will move these leads over to a different buy list to actually be purchased. So what does that look like? Well, I have this first item up here. Let's go ahead and open this up. And as I open that up into 2 new tags, I just want to point out my buyer note. So my team will go through when they find an item that we have sold previously, they'll give me some sort of message. Hey, we have 2 that are pending payment and we currently have 4 in stock, but we sold 2. So maybe this is a newer item that we have in stock right now that is selling well, and maybe we want to restock some before we go out of stock. So what I would do is I would come over here to the Amazon listing and open it up. I see that $26.46 is our buy cost. So $26.40. I'm left with a just shy of $6 net profit and a 22% ROI, which is kind of on the lower side for me. I like to usually find items that sell a little bit better. That being said, though, I'm looking for consistency. And so if I'm looking at the keeper graph, I can see here in the last 3 months that for about, I would say easily 2 months worth of time, this item was selling for $42.21, which is right now, the targeted selling price. It has sold for $37 and $35 in the last 3 months. So that kind of worries me. I'll look to the last year. I can see that historically this is selling around $35 to $33. So if I come in here and I type in 35 as a selling price, I'm actually going to be losing 54 cents. So that is a problem. I can see here that the sales rank has gotten lower and is staying lower. So that's a good sign that it's starting to pick up on demand. So maybe there is something to that. What I would do normally to investigate this just a little bit further, if the keeper graph looked good and the profitability was there, I would just approve this item and move forward. But before I actually reject this item, because right now I don't like the keeper graph is showing me that it's historically selling for 35, I'm going to do a little bit more digging. So this is what this would look like. I go to Inventory Lab, I'm in ASIN profitability, and I'm going to search this ASIN up, and I'm going to see what my lifetime sales look like. Okay, so when I do that, I can see I ordered 5 of these, or I had 5 orders. I have 6 that are on hand right now, and So far on the items that I've sold, I've averaged a 31.9% ROI, which isn't too bad. Usually I want to be above 30%. I have 6 in stock, so that kind of worries me. I then come over here to Amazon and I would just search that ASIN and just kind of get a look at what each one of these orders looks like. I was seeing that I was sold pretty much all these for above $40 a piece. You can see here that they also sell usually in a quantity of 2. So I'm able to sell these. I did have one refund that got applied, which is not accounted for in my inventory lab just yet. So that's good to know. It means that, you know, this profitability is actually lower. At this point, I would probably just skip this item. But another thing that I like to do is I have my source flow account open to orders where I will be able to see my items view, and I can actually just quickly search an ASIN and see how many have I purchased of this item recently. And I can see here that back in February 2025, I bought 5 of them. So that must be the 5 sales or the 5 orders that I have. And I actually have another order that was placed at the beginning of May for 10. That is why I still have some inventory. I have 6 available of this item. Not so great, to be honest with you. This isn't something that I would necessarily want to restock right now. I think just the profit's a little too low and I already have inventory on this. So what would I do? For this case, I'm actually going to reject the item. So I would come over here to the actions button. I would then go to reject item and I would provide some sort of feedback. I'll just say profitability is low. I would then reject that item. What that does is it removes it from my buy list and actually goes to my rejected list. So you can see here my feedback right here, letting my team know why I rejected the item. For this one, I can see here that my buyer note says that we sold 2 in 9 days and we only have 1 in stock. So this is a test buy that we had some success in. So we would do a little digging. $38.32 is my buy cost. So I would come over here to Amazon, $38.32. I would type that in. Okay, good profit, right? $10.93 in profit. 29% ROI. I don't hate that. When I look at the Keepa graph, I can see here that this item is selling around 60 bucks, maybe as low as 58 in the last 3 months. That doesn't worry me. I still am profitable. If I look at the last year, I can actually see that this item was selling for around 65, 70, 68, you know, even up as high as 80. So it's actually kind of on a low right now and it's still profitable. I see offer count movement. So this all makes me feel nice and good. I would then come over here, grab the ASIN, and I'll do the same type of search. I'll just quickly pop it into Seller Central, take a quick look at this. Okay, we were selling them around 60 bucks. I did have a replacement order, so that's not great. I would then check to see, you know, when was the last time I bought this. And I can see when I search it inside of SourceFlow that I actually bought about 12 days ago. I bought 8 more of these tires. So I already have 8 going in. I don't need to necessarily buy more right now because I don't think I'm going to be out of stock. Search inside of Inventory Lab just to kind of get an idea of profitability. So out of the 4 orders I had, I only made $7.72 profit, which does worry me. That is most likely going to be because of this replacement order. So this basically gets canceled out and I lost my buy cost on it because of that replacement. Not something that I'm going to want to restock right now, right? My team made a mistake. They didn't check to see how many we already had inbound or heading into Amazon. So I'm going to reject this item and I am going to say the reason for rejection, already have 10, and then I'm just going to hit the reject button. That's going to reject. Now, for the sake of time, I don't want to go through every single one of these items, but what will I do normally afterwards if I like everything on here is I'll select all the items inside this buy list, and then I would just move them to a different buy list. And since today is Wednesday, I'd move them over to my Wednesday buy list. And that is one half of the equation. This is going to be the items that my team is trying to replenish, restock, rabbit trail, right? These are all leads that we are finding off of either old data or us rabbit trailing a little bit of old lead data. The next half of the equation is what I do. So I will do now is I'm going to go into Smart Data and I'm going to search through all of my fresh lead lists. Now I will go through those lead lists and I will buy items that I think are worth testing or items that I feel really good about, and I will add them to our buy list as well. With our system, it's pretty simple. One half of our inventory purchases are coming from old data, restocks, those types of things. And then the other half is going to come from fresh leads. These are going to be my test buys, right? I like to buy a small amount of new items and I like to test those out in the market. And if they sell well and perform well, we'll replenish and restock more of those. And we just kind of keep an ongoing running history. We utilize the buyer notes inside of SourceFlow to be able to do that and communicate those sorts of things to myself. and to anybody else on my team that needs to know. And that about wraps it up. That is our sourcing strategy. That is a very simplified version of our sourcing strategy. It's just one half old data, another half brand new data. We throw that into a funnel. We see how everything pans out, how it actually sells, and then we will rinse and repeat that process every single day. This is what allowed us to scale up to $2.8 million in sales, only using specifically the OA Cheddar lead lists. These lead lists are obviously the ones that we create ourselves. So we source only from those lead lists, and we're able to maintain our store and make a decent amount of profit in the process. If you have any questions, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. Comment below if you have any questions. My name is Taylor Dunn, and I will see you all on the next one.